the microphone.
Yep, go ahead.
The following is the agenda for the regular Borough Council meeting of the Borough of Compton Lakes, Mayor and Council Municipal Corporation in the County of Passaic. The meeting will begin at 7:30 p.m. on June 26, 2024, in the Municipal Building, 25 Lennox Avenue, Compton Lakes, consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act. The meeting will be open for public comments and shall be in accordance with the terms and conditions of the borough's municipal code and bylaws.
Please stand for a flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bless this mayor and council as they deliberate on the best of Compton Lakes. Roll call, please.
Mayor Seth,
Here.
Council President Dewine,
Here.
Councilman Cruz,
Here.
Councilwoman Kent,
Here.
Councilwoman Kilburg,
Here.
Councilwoman Palmore,
Here.
Councilman Bennett,
Here.
and with us this evening is our Borough Attorney David Whitaker and our Borough Administrator Michael Farrell.
Okay, so it is my honor, along with Assemblyman and Jay Weber, who's going to come up with us, who came down to give the boys a certificate. First of all, I want to congratulate you on doing a great job. And small towns like us, when we win state titles, that's impressive. But more importantly, the way you conducted yourself on the field and off the field, you represented Pompano Lakes very well. And that's another part of the thing you should be very proud of. I didn't get any calls about anybody doing anything wrong or something that was a problem. So you should be very proud of the fact that you won the state championship, but also you represented your town very well. So we thank you for that. So with that, I'm going to ask who is my assistant, who's coming up with me. There we go. Coach, you gonna come up and help? So I can't speak to all the great games you guys played, so I'm gonna have one of your teammates do a little recap of how you guys did. So, both of you together.
All right, so from what I can remember, was 26-4. Some of the highlight wins that I think we all cherish from this year is St. Mary's, Montville was a good one, Montclair Group 4, and Quaney. We saw Quaney last year, and they kind of ruined the whole thing.
Oh, come on in.
Be on
Do it
camera.
fine. Do it on.
Be on camera.
We saw Quaney last year in the state sectional final, and we all remember how that one went. So rematch this year was a little bit more into it. Ended up winning that one. We kept moving on. Finally against Point Pleasant, and we won that one 14-4 too. So all of New Jersey Group 1 is ours. Some of the highlights from the individual people here. I remember Benway finished 10th in New Jersey strikeouts in 93. And, to end that state final game, I remember Nikki cleared the base with a double, and that was merciful, so that was the two.
Here's our new run scored leader in the history of Compton Lakes. Also, so if you Nick played the most varsity games in the history of Compton Lakes High School as well. And, 26 wins is the new school record as well. It was a great season. It's the perfect bunch of boys. It's tremendous. And we're going to be pretty good next year, too. So hopefully we're standing out here next year. But these guys are awesome.
So I'll pick someone up next year. Some of it, would you like to say?
Sure, thanks. Appreciate you letting me celebrate with you. I get to do a lot of fun stuff. I'm a husband and a father and a lawyer and a legislator. If you ask any one of my friends, they'd say he'd probably just rather be coaching baseball. You guys finished the job. About 32 years ago, I was where you were over Wayne Valley High School in June of 1990. I played with St. Joe's, and we beat Paramus Catholic for the North Parochial A championship, but we went down to Princeton and got beat in that state final that you guys cleaned up on. So I'm really happy for you that you were able to finish the job, and really proud of you. Obviously happy for the town It's a lot of fun. I hope you make great memories. It sounds like you conduct yourselves like champs too, which is the most important thing. But really, to put in all that work and to see it come to fruition, it's got to be satisfying. I know it is from my personal experience. But I hope you really take satisfaction in that. Coach, congratulations on your excellent work with the boys. Look, some seniors. I know you got some senior-heavy starting lineup. Sounds like they're not done. Probably a few playing in college. I hope you hit the weight room, get to work, because it doesn't get any easier. Good luck to you. But the sophomores and juniors on the team, man, get back at it. Because coach will tell you, the only thing better than winning one championship is winning two. So.
Congratulations, guys from St. Joe's would know that.
Congratulations, really, really happy for you and grateful that I get to celebrate.
Sure. All right, so we got certificates for both of us. We're gonna walk up one by one. Come up, stand up here, and then we'll take a group picture with everybody. Why don't you read what you got?
Sure, so we have, from the state, we have a state resolution. They're identical, so I'll read it once. But here's the Senate General Assembly, joint legislative resolution by Senator Panaccio and Sutherland Weber. Whereas the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey are pleased to honor and salute the Pompton Lakes High School varsity baseball team, highly esteemed in the Garden State in recognition of its outstanding athletic accomplishments. And whereas demonstrating their extraordinary abilities and an unwavering commitment to excellence, the players on the Pompton Lakes High School varsity baseball team wrote a new chapter in school history by winning the program's first ever NJSIAA Group 1 state championship title in a stunning 14-4 victory over Point Pleasant Beach. And whereas the win capped a brilliant season that saw the Cardinals finish with a 7-game winning streak and posted an impressive 26-4 record. And whereas the Pompton Lakes High School varsity baseball team includes the following players: Jack Babbage, Tyler Benway, Frankie Behrens, Justin Bolt, Vincent Caruso, Harrison Curran, Antonio DiMartinis, Calvin Egbert, Angelo Fusaro, Daniel Ian DiMarino, Nick Locatello, Ryan Vaselli, Jonathan Popovich, Timothy Reach, James Rodas, Vito Salvanto, Vinny Stigliano, David Valentine, and Jaden Villalta. Whereas under the superb guidance of coaches Mike Reardon, Justin Jones, and Len Racco, the Cardinals baseball team has instilled the community of Pompton Lakes with a tremendous sense of pride while upholding the highest standards of character and sportsmanship. And whereas their persistence and exemplary efforts in seeking and achieving greatness have earned the Pompton Lakes High School varsity baseball team the respect and admiration of this legislature and the people of this state. Now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey that this legislature hereby commends the Pompton Lakes High School varsity baseball team, pays tribute to its meritorious record of excellence and perseverance, and extends sincere best wishes for continued success. And be it further resolved that a duly authenticated copy of this resolution signed by the Senate President and the Assembly Speaker and attested by the Senate Secretary and the Assembly Clerk be transmitted to the Pompton Lakes High School varsity baseball team. Congratulations.
Population's not really as fancy in this. Borough Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, Certification of Achievement Sports Award presented to, your name would be on it, in recognition of your outstanding performance in the sport of baseball 2024 New Jersey State Champions. So with that, would Jack step forward? Jack.
Back.
Wow. Thank you.
Somebody else can make it.
Okay. Justin. Vincent. Harrison. Antonio. Ellen. J-Lo. Danny. Ryan.
I'm also not good at games.
Okay. Timothy.
Good. He also had a
James. Yeah. Jimmy? David? James? And our coaches, Mr. Jones.
great job.
Mr. Walker, thank you. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get a group shot here. Everybody kind of squish in a little bit.
Got big teams in the back.
Little tall guys will go in the front, short guys will go in the back.
I'm just gonna slide this.
Cider, little cider. Oh,
There we go, now we can. All right.
Gotta share them all, right?
All right, boys.
All families, if you want to check out 77 if you want to watch it in about a week or two.
Plus it'll be on the website for
Oh, on the
that are
website.
in the area. Thank
I
you.
didn't recognize you without your suit.
Congratulations, coach.
This is awesome. You're still doing it.
This one I think Phil kind
Hi, good to see you. Over here. Bye.
Mike's working.
Hello, hello.
Is that yours too?
Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello.
Is yours not on? Oh, wait a second, if that's the one that I have, that one is problematic. Yeah, that one is not, because this one is not my usual.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Hold on, good. Okay, if you guys can work your way out.
They're working it out.
Alrighty. Okay, our next presentation is our Historic Preservation Society, Wells Fargo. I'm gonna ask Laura to come up, and Eck, if you wanna come, Laura, you wanna give an explanation first, and then, how would you wanna handle this? Okay.
Hi, I'm Laura Jennings Pitt, the chairwoman of the Compton Lakes Historic Commission. Thank you for having us. So, maybe it was a year and a half ago now, there was concern brought to the commission about the mural that is present at the Wells Fargo branch located on Wanacue Ave in Compton Lakes. There were plans to renovate the branch, and it was unclear. In fact, the fear was that the mural would be destroyed as part of the renovation. The mural depicts a scene of importance to the Revolutionary War with General Colfax pictured, obviously an important historic figure locally. And so Our commission coordinated with Wells Fargo corporate offices, where we were able to discover that they have a mural committee, whose purpose is to commission murals of local historic importance at their local branches. The only reason our mural was a threat for demolition or destruction in any way was because the corporate headquarters out in California didn't know. So through some conversation and collaboration, they were able to make plans that would preserve and protect the mural. I believe the view of it is obstructed, but the mural is safe and sound and in place as it always has been at the branch. Further, the Wells Fargo group has taken it a step further to create a replica of the mural, which is framed and will be presented to us tonight. And so Jackie Spataro from the local branch is here to present that.
Jackie, why don't you come up and
piece.
say some words?
So here is,
Do you want?
I can see. But yeah, thank you so much for having us. Just like a couple of things that I would like to say. So I know Laura went over a lot of it, but again, my name is Jackie. I'm the branch manager in Wells Fargo. We were excited to be able to preserve the mural and, take a picture to donate to the town, because the committee, we're strong within the community. A couple historical things about the painting is that it's Washington's Guard drawn up between Schuyler Colfax and the Pompton Iron Furnace during the Revolutionary War. And it was painted in 1965 by Lawrence Smith, who was an artist in Philadelphia. So again, I'm happy to be able to work with you to preserve it, and it's still there intact, and there's another actual picture, larger picture on another wall, and we're happy to donate this to you. So.
We thank you for taking the time and energy to do this. I know how demolition goes, and they could have just torn down the building and we lost this forever. So I thank Wells Fargo for taking the time to save it, keep it, and move forward. So it's part of the history of our town. And you're saving part of the history. So I thank you for that. And I thank the Historic Commission for, pushing for that. So with that, any historic members want to come up? We'll take a picture. No.
I have a short shirt on, so I'm not doing that. This is fine, everybody looks nice.
Sure, Alan, you want
Go ahead.
Come on, Al. I was ready to give you my jacket.
There we go.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay. Good. Okay, can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments? Motion. Councilman Brennan, Council President DeWine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Hi, Kathy Shore, Pine Street. I'm sure you all know why I'm here. I just want to once again say that Michael has improved the garbage situation tremendously, and I'm very happy. But we still do have some, people that are just repeat offenders. 118 Wanacue Avenue is constantly has garbage there. And there's in front of Nikki G's where there's a garbage can, and, it's always overflowing. I've got a couple pictures. I'll give it to Liz and she can just pass it down. But anyway, I was wondering if anything had been decided or discussed about my idea of hiring someone, a retiree, to, serve as almost like a maintenance person that would go along and clean up, this kind of mess that, has lingered even after the DPW guys empty the garbage can. I don't expect them to pick up all this trash, but that would be what a maintenance man would do, sweep up and just keep the town cleaner looking. And I did go into Randy's ice cream shop, and he, was kind of complaining that one garbage can out in front of his gets so full because, you know, we were really busy, I mean, no fly was out the door. And on one hand, you should say, you know, well, really, you should be thankful because your business is doing great. But on the other hand, you know, he did question if maybe it could be picked up more often. And I said to him, well, you should come to a meeting, but I'll mention it if I'm going to come to a meeting. So that's it. I just wanted to know if anything was discussed about that hiring someone.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Step up.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. Speaking on behalf of the Shade Tree Commission, we put out a post on Facebook about this extreme heat and the trees and the watering the trees. Thanks to you, Mr. Mayor, and the council for giving us the funds to purchase these trees. These trees are not cheap, and we depended on the residents to help us out and water these trees. So I just want to make this announcement here at the meeting and ask the residents who've gotten new trees within the last 2 years to please put at least 5 gallons or 10 gallons of water per week especially through this heat wave. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address?
Good evening, Paul Pastante, 156 Garden Road, from Silk City Films. I'm a director and producer of historical documentaries about towns and cities in New Jersey. Some of the films that we've done are, we've done Wayne and also Bloomingdale. And the purpose of these films is when somebody decides in this day and age that they're going to move to a town, or if somebody decides that they may want to do business in a town, what, pray tell, would be the first thing that they do? Mr. Crowley, what's the first thing that they do when they know they're going to move to a town?
Perhaps go on YouTube.
Perhaps go on YouTube, perhaps Google it. And the question becomes, what will they find? And so Silk City Films is a company and an organization that focuses on positive content for a town. So that in the future, some of the things that are historical in nature are documented for future generations and for past generations. And I just want to let you guys know that I'm kind of disappointed that the baseball team didn't stay. The baseball team, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but in my research I've found that there are a few players that are on this team that were also on the team quite a few years back that went all the way to the Mid-Atlantic regions in the National Little League Tournament. There are 3 of those such players on this team. So I thought that was interesting. Myself, Chris Felchik, who is our shot artist, our photographer, videographer. My ask today with you guys is that we would need access and just basically a tacit approval that you know that something's going on at Pompton Lakes. It's already out there. Social media is kind of a little bit of buzz about the work that we've done already, some of the drone mapping and whatnot. So I want to give you the opportunity to know about it, to ask me any questions that you may have about it that I can answer. From there, I'll just take questions from you guys about it.
All right, so I'll answer at the end. And
Sure.
We'll give you go ahead and answer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You'll what?
I'll answer as soon as this session's over. I'll answer everybody's questions, including yours.
Got you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Second, Councilwoman Polidori, Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Short way, yes, we are working towards a goal, right, at the end of the day. 118, believe it or not, has been fined. We've sent out the inspector over there, is that correct? Right? I think there were sent fines as of yesterday or today. Nikki G's garbage can there, he's in a tough spot there because it's by itself, and I'm having some complaints of some people saying, I'm the one with the garbage can and the garbage is overflowing. So maybe we could tweak that a little bit and see how that works. We're still in conversation with the union on if they're going to allow us to hire someone to do that. We're in negotiation right now with their contract, so I don't know if that's something that's being discussed.
Yeah.
It is, so we'll have more information when that comes out. Okay, and then and Randy's Ice Cream, same thing, I understand his complaint that there's so much garbage there, but he has the can. But he also has the food in and out too.
I can tell you that just today, I think Mr. Bowley left, but he posted something on social media in front of the bagel shop again. There's a lot of cardboard and garbage piled up right there, again, in that same spot next to the bus stop. And it looks like household garbage. It actually looks like garbage. So, I mean, that's something we should look into also. Mr. Hinton, thank you for reminding everybody about that. Yes, I'm hoping that the residents do take some charge of some of the trees, especially if they want them to grow and turn into what they're looking for from the tree, that they water them. It's good information. I would also go a step further. If you see a tree that you think is not being watered, maybe reach out to Mr. Corelli, and maybe we could see if we can get the DPW to run to that tree just for the time, because I'm sure every resident is not paying as much attention as they should. Can you step out? Yes.
Well,
I was going to answer your questions. Thank you for coming. That's the discussion we'll have as a council. I'm sure there's a cost involved, and we'll have to discuss all those things. But it's not a bad idea. We've done these things in the past, years ago. We'll have a discussion more with the council, I guess, maybe through a workshop or something to see how we want to go. If they decide they want to go, which I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, but I can't speak for everybody, then at the end of the day, then we would work out some agreement, I guess, between our administrator and you guys on how you would go about doing that. So give us another 2 weeks or so to figure it all out, and then, well, the next meeting is not till July, so that's when we'll have an actual workshop on it and talk about it. You can't get up and you can't get up and talk.
There is no cost.
Okay. There's no cost?
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought that was important.
Yes, that's very important.
Sorry.
That you're allowed to say. All right, so, you guys want to talk about it now, or?
Well,
Yeah.
can we have
Yeah.
a formal presentation?
Yeah, I
Can
think we
you
need something
show
a little
us
more
like
formal than,
the,
1 Main Street.
the traffic, the metrics, where it is, views, what samples of other towns have looked like? Like, can we organize a formal presentation?
Yes, for the July 17th council meeting.
Okay, well, that's what we'll do.
Can you send us everything in advance so we can,
So Lou just suggested that
Perfect.
I could send it maybe to Maria.
Oh, you can send it to administrator, yeah.
Okay, I'll send it to Mr. Curley, and then,
They'll get it to us.
you can share it, that's perfect.
so
Okay,
if
good.
we have questions, can we reach out to you in advance of that?
Absolutely, anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Where am I? Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Special closed session meeting minutes, June 12th. Regular meeting minutes, June 12th. Closed session meeting minutes, June 12th.
Motion.
Councilman Denon, Councilwoman Kilberg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and payment of bills as listed below. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilman Denon, Councilwoman Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Against? Consent agenda. Anybody need anything removed?
Yes, please. I did.
One?
I can find it. Is this what we're talking about? Resolutions? Or we're not there yet?
Yeah, we're on
No, we're at
resolution. Yeah.
Resolutions? Oh, I'd just like to discuss, I just found it, 24-276.
276, okay.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yes, can we please pull 65 and 67?
65 and 67. Okay, you got those lists? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, whereas the mayor and the borough council of the borough of Thompson Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Thompson Lakes does desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. I'm going to pull resolution 24-265, 24-267, and 24-276.
Okay. Can I have a motion for the other ones?
Motion.
Councilman Denon, Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, 24-265.
Amending resolution 24-55, authorizing non-union salaries prevention coalition.
Somebody had a question?
Can you just explain it a little bit?
Thank you, Councilwoman. Yes, so these three positions are included in the Federal Prevention Coalition grant budget that was approved by the federal government. And these stipends have been paid out historically from the borough. However, a stipend is required to be in the non-union salary resolution. So moving forward, it'll be included as the years progress through the grant. but this is just a formality, if you will, for this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's do 24-267, and then we'll do them all at the end.
Amended contract with Atlantic Health System Children's Medical Center for occupational health services.
Just an explanation.
Thank you. So we use Atlantic Health System, Chilton Medical Center for our occupational health services. So some of the services they provide to us are physicals, fitness for duty exams, hazmat physicals, police academy physicals. Their pricing structure was slightly increased for the year. This has come out of their corporate office. So the contract that we have with them annually must be amended to incorporate the new fees. However, the fees are only increased a few dollars per physical type or per medical procedure that we would, follow through with. So there's not a dramatic cost to the borough at this time. It's just a few dollars on each physical type.
Okay, so that's for our employees,
Yes.
that's not the nurse that?
Yes,
Okay.
it's for all borough employees.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 24-276.
Yes.
Deputy Registrar of Vital Citizens from the
I just had a question. We have a full-time registrar, and I didn't think Pompton Lakes was that big to have a full-time registrar. Why do we need a deputy registrar?
Thank you, Councilwoman. So in accordance with the New Jersey Department of Health regulations, each municipality is to have a registrar of vital statistics. That individual does marriage licenses, death certificates, et cetera, et cetera. It's always a best practice to have a deputy in the case that the individual is out, goes on medical leave, et cetera. So our deputy right now is currently with the Township of Wayne, but that individual is retiring at the end of the year. So we have an individual in-house who has the required certification. So we felt it was a best practice to appoint this individual as the deputy moving forward. That way the backup is in-house as opposed to going out to the Township of Wayne, having to come here to provide the service. It provides for a quicker turnaround to the residents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there an increase in salary, or it's the same?
Historically, we did not pay a rate for this deputy, but they were out of town and there was a lag time for them to come, to the borough to service the residents. This individual would be paid a $500 yearly stipend. So it's a minimal amount.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's 24-265, 24-267, 24-276. Can I have a motion, please? Motion. Councilwoman Kilberg,
Second.
Councilman Venin, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Ordinances, whenever you're ready.
First ordinance has been advertised, posted on the municipal bulletin board. Ordinance 24-26, amending chapter 7, section 7-43, form of handicap parking on streets of the municipal code of the Borough of Pompton Lakes to update the description of the Lincoln Avenue parking spot.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-26.
Motion.
Council President Deline, Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone just to address this ordinance? Seeing no one, motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-26. Council President Deline, Councilwoman Kilberg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 24-26 for final adoption. So moved. Council President Deline, Councilwoman Kilberg, roll call, please.
Councilman Polidori.
Yes.
Councilman Jennings.
Yes.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Gilbert.
Yes.
Ordinance 24-27, amending revised general ordinances of the Borough of Pompton Lakes regulating the removal, protection, and replacement of trees located on private property.
The motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-27.
So moved.
Council President Deline.
Second.
Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address this ordinance? Please step up.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. I was just curious of the fines. Were the fines lowered from 1,000 to 500? Do they stay 1,000? Or also, are the contractors going to be fined if there's a violation? Those are my only questions. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Motion to close the public session, public meetings on ordinance 24-27. Council President Devine?
Second.
Councilwoman Kent, all in favor?
Aye.
We did reduce some of the fines, correct?
Yes, we reduced the permit fees. However, the fine of $1,000 remains due to a prior workshop discussion amongst the governing body. However, we are incorporating, in addition to that, a $250 fine to the tree removal contractor. Thank you.
And the only thing I would add is that $1,000 fine is an up to $1,000 fine, so it's not a mandatory $1,000 fine. So there is some discretion that
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Motion to approve ordinance 24-27 for final adoption.
Motion.
Council President Devine,
Second.
Councilman Bennett, roll call, please.
Use Delana and Betty.
Yes.
Devine and Bennett, yes.
Councilwoman Palmer.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kilburg.
Yes.
Ordinance 24-28, amending Chapter 9 of the Office of General Ordinances of the Borough of Compton Lakes regulating the planting of bamboo within the borough.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-28.
So moved.
Council President Devine.
Second.
Councilwoman Kilburg, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone like to address just this ordinance? Please step up.
Minnie Hitt, 443 Montclair Avenue. I just want to commend the council for putting this on there. Bamboo is very invasive. There's a couple of spots in town that it's running wild. DPW has to try to curtail it. Very difficult. And I just want to agree with this ordinance. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-28.
Motion.
Council President Devine, Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 24-28 for final adoption.
So moved.
Council President
Second.
Devine, Councilman Cruz, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Palmer.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kilburg.
Yes.
Ordinance 24-.
29. 29?
Wait a minute, did I?
Yeah, 29.
Okay, 29. Ordinance of the Borough of Compton Lakes County, saying New Jersey vacating a portion of the right-of-way designated as Locust Street in the Borough of Compton Lakes between Laura Street and Grove Street.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-29.
So moved.
Council President Devine.
Second.
Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this ordinance? Seeing no one, motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-29.
So moved.
Councilwoman Polidori, Council President Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 24-29 for final adoption.
So moved.
Council President Devine,
Second.
Councilwoman Kilburg, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Palmer.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kilburg.
Yes.
Ordinance 24-30, ordinance authorizing tax exemption and payment of real taxes in connection with the redevelopment plan for block 7400, lot 11, authorizing execution of a financial agreement for payment in lieu of taxes for 525 Wanacue Avenue, Associates Urban Renewal LLC pursuant to state statute.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-30.
So moved.
Council President Devine, Council, who was that? Woman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone like to address just this ordinance? Seeing no one, motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 24-30.
Motion.
Councilman Bennett?
Second.
Councilman Cruz, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 24-30 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman.
Second.
Council President Devine, Councilwoman Kilburg, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Palmer.
Yes.
Councilman Bennett.
Yes.
Councilman Cruz.
Yes.
Councilman Deline.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kennedy.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kilburg.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. For my report, it was a busy wedding month. A lot of people get married in June, I guess. I did 5 weddings in the last 2 weeks. We had a meeting with, I'm sorry, I attended the 6 o'clock Flag Day ceremony on the 14th at the Elks Lodge. It was a great ceremony. It's always a nice ceremony. It explains where our flags come from and how they've grown over time. It was nice to see the kids involved in that. So that's always a nice group that they do that every year. I attended the planning board meeting. I attended the redevelopment meeting. I'm sure Councilman Venon will talk a little bit about it, but they talked about the Smith project there, and the one thing they're going to need is an easement from this council to go through the parking lot to enter their building, which is not a discussion now, but at some point that will be brought to us, but that'll come more from Councilman Venon. I attended the zoning board meeting last night. There was some talk, a lot of talk actually, about the old Gilby's on Ringwood Avenue. There's a landscaper using the area in the back by the lake, by the river, and he has to get his permitting in place. So what they decided to do is let him apply to the DEP. If the DEP allows him to do what they're doing back there, then they'll revisit it here at the zoning board. So right now, he's going to have to get DEP approval to see that. And there was also some talk, and Bobby, I'm sure will talk about this because he was there. There'll be some talk about another project happening there. And that is my report. Council President Klein.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to start off by congratulating the state championship boys baseball team. Again, great accomplishment to go in and, you heard all the records that they set and had a tremendous season. I want to congratulate once again to Captain Rodriguez, Lieutenant Rufo, Lieutenant Kufati, and Sergeant Yurga on their promotions tonight. Again, exemplary officers really show off the best of Pompton Lakes. This Saturday, there will be a Trails Maintenance Day. That's Saturday, June 29th at 9 a.m. We meet at the Red Trail entrance on Lincoln Avenue down by the MUA. Again, this is the first of 2 summer trail maintenance days. This past Thursday, I attended the Avenues in Motion Board of Directors meeting. It's an organization that I've been on for the last 4 years. This year was actually held in the council chambers. They try and go to different places. A lot of times we meet at County College of Morris, but I offered up Pompton Lakes and they graciously accepted. I want to thank Michael and Liz for coordinating the room and the food that morning. They very much appreciated it. Avenues in Motion delivers programs and services that improve mobility, the environment, and overall quality of life in northern New Jersey. They provide commuting options such as carpooling, vanpooling, mass transit, biking, and walking. It also manages alternative transportation programs, works with schools and municipalities on their Safe Routes to School program, and organizes what's known as the Junior Solar Sprints, which is actually funded through a large grant provided by Helmet Castings. This event is where middle schoolers design and develop a solar-powered vehicle, and they actually race them. Pompton Lakes has been participating, the middle school has been participating in the past number of years, and one of the things that they mentioned at this board meeting is that Pompton Lakes might actually be hosting the championships next year. Typically, it's been held in New Providence. They are thinking about having it in Pompton Lakes. Mr. Hale is the middle school teacher that works closely on these events, so it'd be really cool to see this come in Pompton Lakes. Finally, at the meeting, again, I've been a member of the board for a number of years. At this meeting, I will now be serving as the vice chair of the board, which I'm really excited to participate in because it is a phenomenal organization. And incidentally, immediately following after that, a resident came up to me and she had found out about something called bike buses. Obviously, as people know, Pompton Lakes is a non-busing school district, so kids either walk, bike, or more commonly have their parents drop them off at school in the morning and maybe pick them up in the evening. Bike buses, walking buses, things like that are informal organizations of getting kids to walk and bike to school together. It improves the overall safety by having a large quantity of kids walking and biking. They're safe, obviously, from strangers. It makes them independent. It gives them some activity in the morning, things like that. So I'm going to be reaching out to our school district and connecting them actually with Avenues in Motion to see what might be able to be set up for the future. I don't have a whole lot of details now, so I'm not going to go into too much, but it might also be a workshop discussion. I don't anticipate anything that the borough and the council might have involvement in. Obviously, the PD might be in some involved, but I will keep people apprised of any changes. And then finally, as the mayor mentioned, there was a planning board meeting last Tuesday. I was not in attendance, but the application was the Passaic County Senior Housing Project, the old site of the old Passaic County DPW yard. That was approved by the planning board, so they will be going forward and building those 52 senior housing units. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Councilwoman Kent.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to congratulate, again, Sergeant Ryan Yerger now, Lieutenant Joe Rufo, Lieutenant Stephen Cafati, and Captain Anthony Rodriguez. I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of our police department. I'm very proud to be their, the public safety liaison. They do a great job, and I'm very happy that we voted them in, and they're going to do a good job for us. I also want to let you know, as public safety, on August 6th, there will be a National Night Out, and the police department is inviting all of the citizens to come out and to attend. It's a wonderful evening. They do drug prevention awareness, and they generate support for the community. They strengthen neighborhood spirit by giving you all free food, and they have handouts for the kids, and it's really a lot of fun. And there are a number of different local organizations and businesses and borough committees that do attend. So I would strongly recommend bring the kids out for a couple hours, and you get free ice cream and stuff, and you meet all the police officers, and it's really a wonderful community event. It's nationally acknowledged, and we do a good job with that. So inviting you all out there. I also want to congratulate the boys baseball team, the Group 1 state championships. Having two boys that played all kind of sports and winning some of the champions in different athletics, it really brings me to, it really makes my heart very happy. What's going on?
That's the generator going on.
Oh, my goodness, okay. Anyway, we're okay? All right. So I was very, very proud of them, and they do, Mary gave a really nice speech about the way they conduct themselves. You can see they are the most amazing young men, and they're going to do very well in their life. And thank them for representing Pompton Lakes in such a wonderful, rewarding way. I want to thank the Wells Fargo and the Historic Commission for saving that beautiful mural, and I'm very happy to have that. And I hope the painting, and I hope we put it in this room somewhere. We can find a proper spot for that. That would be very nice. I want to thank Paul Basanti coming out from Silk City Movie. We talked about this a number of years ago, and it was just a bad timing, I think, with the COVID and all that stuff. But I did watch some of the movies that you made in other communities, and they're phenomenal, and they put the whole community in a different level. And I would like to see that. I'm looking forward to working with you. I'm looking forward to having the council. If we need to have a workshop, thank you, Paul, for saying that you will work with us, and let's see if we can get this done this summer. We're also a movie-ready community. Film ready?
Yeah, excuse me. Al, the generator's not on yet, right? Okay, but we would.
That's free lighting switch, that's what it's trying to start.
Okay, but it's not on now, we would hear it.
It's not on.
Okay.
We'll definitely see.
Okay, we're okay. All right, so, movie ready? Is that where we are?
New Jersey Film Ready Community.
Film ready? Let's make our first film. So I'm all for it. Okay. The Shade Tree Commission, they did a tremendous job with trying to get the word out that we need people to help water the trees. It's a very simple message. I spoke to Randy, and I spoke to DPW, and all the bags are all the bags that are on the new trees, but it's the trees that were planted maybe 2 years ago. They're still very, they're very vulnerable. So we're going to try to get the public to do that. And we use social media. It was a great way to do it. Thank you, Randy, and thank the commission. And I believe, and just so I know Kathy Shortway just left, I was told, I haven't confirmed this yet, but Patterson City is evidently purchasing special garbage cans. Wow. Hope we're not fired. But Patterson City has special garbage cans, and they're like high tech, where they use solar to condense the garbage in the cans. So we're not the only city that's having this problem, but I'm glad that we're addressing it, and I'm glad you're issuing fines. And other towns in Passaic County are also taking this garbage issue very seriously. So it's a real problem. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they make out, and maybe whatever their findings are, maybe we can use some of their information to make our program a little better. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Kilburg.
I attended the EPC meeting. If anyone has pictures of the river cleanup, if you could just send them over to Steve Baig or myself, and we can get them over to Liz. The signs for Take the Pledge will be up soon. We ask everyone to take the pledge to not litter. That's what it's for. I attended the Flag Day ceremony at the Elks. They talked about each flag and when it was flown, and it was a very nice ceremony. I attended this year's Pride event. The event was very well put together, and I appreciated the efforts of the individuals who organized that day. It was very nice. I attended the redevelopment meeting, and I would like to see a copy of the site plans before we have to approve any sort of easement. And I'm also curious about the Meridian project, because I see that they put those, I want to call them eaves, up on the top of the building. And I don't know what you would call them. The thing, yes, but it overhangs the sidewalk.
It doesn't, probably speaking a lot, if you look at where the fencing is, there's the sidewalk, there's the fencing, there's actually like a little, it's actually set back a little bit, about 2 to 3 feet away from where the sidewalk was before. So, because I looked at it too. I still think that's within their property boundaries. It's just because the building is set back a little bit, then they go up, then they come out a little bit for architectural features. It looks like it's over the sidewalk, but it's really not.
Because I was parked across the street and I'm looking up at it, and it just looks like.
I think that's what it is. I think they set the building back enough because you can't enter into public right of way without permission.
I mean, it is pretty close to the sidewalk, the whole building.
Right.
So I mean, it's,
But it is set back a little bit from the actual sidewalk itself. If you go up to the fence, you'll see that there's a little bit of more distance beyond where the sidewalk was.
So you're saying it only overhangs to the beginning of the sidewalk? Is that what you're?
It comes up, maybe up to the property line, but it doesn't go over the property.
Okay. And I did attend the recreation meeting last night, and that's where we talked about pickleball, and maybe coming up with some sort of a system where people can sign up. And I already talked to the mayor and Michael about it, so that people can sign up for 1 hour court times and not take, have one group take up hours worth of time. And Maria, this is for you. There was a fishing derby that took, or a fishing tournament that took place on Saturday that no one knew about. So I don't know if you can talk to the police department. I guess if they see something, they should stop and ask them if they have a permit. I mean, we also need people to call if they see it, but I mean, there was quite a few boats in the water.
There should have been a permit issue.
And there was
I think there's some education to the police department because it's relatively new.
They just need to know that they're going to have to stop.
If there's a big group of boats out in the water, they should stop and ask us.
I mean, I guess even in a park, like if there's a big group of people in a park, they need to stop and ask them if they're, even if they have to ask to see ID, if they're residents, they'll have ID, and if they're not, then they should have a permit. I guess that's really how it
That's our
works.
ordinance.
That's the ordinance. And going back to the pickleball, yes, I agree, we should
there needs
figure
to
out
be
a
a
way to
system.
make that better, It's just not working the way it is right now.
And that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Paul Dory, what's the siren now? Is that, do you know?
Yeah,
Sounds like a siren.
it's coming down in sheets.
Do you know what the siren is?
Yeah, they probably got a fire.
Okay. All right, it's nothing with the water and river, okay.
When the electricity surges, you usually get one.
Okay, so it's coming down. Okay, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Paul Dory.
Thank you. I would also like... I would also like to congratulate our officers on their promotions and the outstanding work that our police department does every day for this community, as well as, again, extend congratulations to the boys' baseball team. That is a tremendous accomplishment, and they make all of Pompton Lakes very proud. I would also like to thank Wells Fargo and Laura Jennings, along with the Historic Committee, for their diligent work in preserving that mural. We do have a lot of history in Pompton Lakes and a lot of artwork, so when we have the ability to preserve something like that, it's very important, which actually reminded me of something, and I'll ask you to maybe make a note of this, perhaps we can look into it. Last year, a resident reached out to me and asked specifically about the Alvina Secar mural, which is the mural that hangs in the Civic Center. Apparently that is many, many decades old, and it was painted for us by a local artist that lived in town, and there was some concern that that somehow may get lost in the shuffle. So I know we plan on doing work in the Civic Center. If there's any way we can preserve that too. There are a lot of folks that remember when that was done, and it's of some significance also.
Thank you.
I attended the Flag Day ceremony. The Elks always do an amazing job, and they bring the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in to walk the flags out through the presentation, so thank them for making sure that we maintain that ceremony every year. I was on a site visit to Hirschfield Park with both our borough engineer, a representative from one of the playground equipment companies, and our borough administrator to start working on some possible renderings for plans for Phase 2 of Hirschfield Park, which would encompass the playground equipment, some possible changes to the center land where all the picnic tables are, and potentially, depending on whether or not it seems feasible, some workout stations along the outside perimeter of that area. So we are waiting for some updated information. We had looked at it a few years back. I think probably that is all outside of being valid, so they will send us some updated proposals to review. And we did talk about including another animal, because that presentation at Pacifico Gallo was really great with the kids. So they're going to send us some choices to look at for that, so we can have another signature playground animal at the next park. I did attend the bid meeting just to talk about the garbage again. I get tremendous feedback on the removal of the cans. I feel like there are obviously some still issues that need to be worked on, but it is a tremendous improvement. And I also happened to get a lot of compliments from some business owners in the past couple weeks about not only the streets, but the work that the bid has put in on the new flower baskets. The streets look actually really nice right now. I know we've had some issues with garbage, particularly over by the Domino's, that small strip. So, I don't know if putting garbage cans back is the answer. There are garbage cans inside the store, but at one point we did discuss the possibility of moving this into a Phase 2 and requiring that certain buildings have dumpsters in the background. I know that the garbage cans inside of the stores get full, but they can always be dumped then in the dumpster and, continue to be used inside. That doesn't necessarily mean that all the garbage cans have to go back on the street. I really think that was creating more of an issue. I did listen virtually to the last coalition meeting for the season. I know Bobby will speak more to that. I just wanted to thank both Ryan and Dr. P for all their hard work this year. They did a great job. The programs were amazing. They seem to be very well attended. So I look forward to seeing what they bring to us next year. The dog park signs continue to come in. That was another great idea. Hopefully we get to a point where they continue to re-enroll every year, and that becomes a self-sustaining part of town that can continue to improve and upgrade itself without utilizing either open space or borough funds. For workshop, I did ask, just so that the council knows, a little bit of what we talked about last time as far as the group that we've now hired to work on reviewing the pilots and collecting revenue from the pilots accurately. I asked if we could have them come in and give a presentation as we start to get faced with more pilots. I think it's important for this council to understand the thought process behind approval, what actually goes into it, what's considered revenue, what makes them different, just so that we have a better understanding as we look through them, what it is we're approving, the time frame on them, whether it's 5, 10, 15. So hopefully we can have that not just as a workshop, but actually as a presentation where we're able to ask some questions of their process as well. And I did attend the redevelopment meeting, so I have a lot of questions and thoughts on how that meeting went, not specifically toward that project, but just overall. I know that we have a workshop on for discussion tonight, so there was a bit of an issue for the last workshop as to how narrow the scope was of what could or couldn't be discussed or asked. That is not what the spirit of workshop was. It was to encourage an environment for us to be able to speak about the topic at hand. The way that we make informed decisions up here is through discussion, through asking. Sometimes a question opens up another question, which may not have been the original intent, but it certainly doesn't mean that it should be overlooked or pushed aside. We're here to learn, we're here to have transparency, we're here to make sure that we're well informed. So I am going to reserve my comments on the redevelopment meeting for workshop in hopes that I'm able to actually share my thoughts without it becoming contentious. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Liz, we're okay, we're recording?
Yeah, it seems to be.
Okay, because I
But it
see
was
that,
going- it was
it's up
going
there,
in
something
the-
up there,
I
right?
think it's recorded.
Okay, we don't know for sure, okay.
It looks like it is.
Okay, Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start off with the redevelopment meeting regarding the Smith project. The Smith project is a proposed 50-unit project at the corner of Colfax and Wanacue. There was discussion about easements, and in regards to that, I'd like to have either a workshop or a presentation so that we can become educated in the what an easement is. We can look it up, sure, but sometimes it's good to have a discussion just to educate us on how that all works. There was discussion about the easements, as I mentioned, and there was also discussion about the amount of retail space on the ground floor for the project. Next, I want to thank, congratulations to the recently promoted officers earlier this evening, as well as the baseball team. Thank you for putting us in the spotlight and keep doing great things. I want to also thank Wells Fargo for the donation of the framed copy of the mural. It was very nice of them to come to go above and beyond and do that, as well as Laura Jennings, Historic Commission Chair. Thank you for your leadership and your work to preserve that specific thing, but also for your work with the Historic Commission. I also want to thank Masonic Lodge Genesis 88 for cleaning up Wilderness Park a couple weeks ago. They came and presented to us, and the day after, I saw the bags of trash, and I thank you for the DPW for picking that up as well. Lastly, I want to thank all the folks that supported the fundraiser. I did a Pull the Tank fundraiser with UPS a couple weekends ago, and this is for the fundraiser went to for veterans, obtain housing services, access legal services, and receive mental health treatment. So it was a great event. It was a great day, and it was a good time by all. And lastly, congratulations to Council President DeLine on your new position with Avenues in Motion. Continue to do great things and bring in pedestrians and bike ped, I guess the phrase is, right, to Pompton Lake. So bike ped, yeah. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to congratulate, obviously, all the officers that were promoted today. They're, a great group of guys, very well deserved. Obviously, it goes without saying with the varsity team, it was just an amazing game. Again, they did an amazing job, just not only in that game, but throughout the season. So congratulations. Did attend the flag ceremony as well. Again, the flag ceremony, I feel for me, when you attend those, it's in story format. So you're kind of listening to 4 individuals tell a story about the flags, which I appreciate every time I go there. And it never, it's never one time where I didn't learn something new. So it's definitely a ceremony I recommend everybody should attend, and it was amazing. Moving on, I attended the Prevention Coalition meeting on Monday. Just a few things. A lot of it is mostly just recaps of everything that went on during the year. They talked about what's upcoming as well, such as National Night Out, Pompton Day. They had some recent events.
On 6/10, the Lincoln fifth grade party, funding for the party was partially from the walk, so very nice. On 6/12, Hawk and Hawk Jr., they had a meet and greet. On 6/17, they had the Hawk dinner. Dr. P or Dr. Prisbilinski and Ryan will be speaking to the kids in the summer camp program about Keep a Clear Mind. This is a take-at-home drug education program for elementary school students in grades 4 through 6 and their parents. This program is designed to help children develop specific skills to refuse and avoid the use of gateway drugs. Also, the coalition will be receiving between $3,000 to $4,000 from the National Opioid Settlement. Once the money arrives, they have to figure out how they're going to use that. Liz was in attendance. She came up with a great suggestion to invest some of that money in adult programs in town. Right now, the majority of the programs all target, obviously, our youth. And I thought that was a great suggestion on her part. And they did have a representative from the Blue Crest Recovery Center, and they offered to reach out to the DEA to come in and give a presentation on gambling and substance abuse. I think it's going to be coordinated between Dr. P and Ryan. I thought that was a great suggestion. They do an amazing job as well. Yesterday, along with Mayor Sarah, we attended the zoning board meeting. As the mayor was talking about, this was for application BOA 23-07 for 615 Ringwood Avenue. I'm not going to go into any more details. The mayor just pretty much covered everything. But there was another application for BOA 24-03. That also was approved. That's for 430 Montclair Avenue. And that location there is, they're looking to, let me just make sure I get the application proposed to subdivide the property into 2 lots and are seeking a D1 variance. Again, that was approved. And for reference, that's the Quackenbush and Sons Auto Repair, for those of you that are familiar with that location. And that'll do it for my report, Mayor.
So I didn't realize the Lions got their own funding from the settlements? That's separate from us?
Yes, that's from the National Opioid Settlement.
Yes. So they can get their own settlements from that, separate from what we get?
No, excuse me, the borough receives
And they're
national
dispersed.
opioid settlement funds, which we can use our discretion on how they're used.
Okay.
So it makes sense to direct those.
Sure,
to-
okay, I thought maybe they got their own.
The dollar, no, it's from them, it's from
Okay.
them. But the dollar amount is not known at this time, so it's between
Okay.
3,000 and 4,000.
Great. Attorney's report.
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Howard Street, Maple Street, Babbitt Place Improvements Project continues. There was a slight delay due to the reconstruction of the U-turn at the end of Howard Street. So the contractor is expected to start paving on Monday. So we've amended our notice to the residents, put up a police signboard, and are in communication with all of the residents for the change. The Ackerman Place Hirschfield Street Improvements Project will begin this Friday with the concrete work. Milling is scheduled for July 8th, while paving is scheduled for July 9th. And again, we've provided notice to the residents. I attended today a pre-construction meeting with the Passaic County Department of Public Works to discuss the Salt Dome project as part of the Passaic County Housing Corporation's application. I was quite pleased from the meeting to learn that the county intends to substantially replace our recycling center with all new recycling bins, signage, lighting, containers, sidewalks, landscaping, and fencing, which is good news. However, the section within the existing recycling center will not be paved. So that is something that we may want to consider in the future, because it will be a one-way in, one-way out moving forward for the residents. So you'll come into the center on a new apron and a new driveway, into a gravel lot, onto a newly paved road that leads you out to the car wash at the corner. So that is something that we should consider for next year.
And you mentioned the new gate too coming in, right? They're gonna give us
Yeah,
a
new gates as well. The Salt Dome is expected to be completed by December 1st this year. So we should be operational with the DPW with our salt operations for this winter. Jennifer touched on Hirschfield Phase 2. However, I spoke with our borough engineer about Phase 1. He did file with the DEP finally, so we're progressing with that. Now we wait for the DEP. and we could go out to bid sometime in the fall, I'm hoping. So we're moving forward on that. I'm in discussion with our borough engineer and the DPW superintendent to identify road candidates for next year. So we're looking at replacing a bunch of side roads for next year. To segue into my next point, being that on tonight's council meeting, the governing body authorized an application to the DOT for the Lakeside Ave Phase 1 project. So we're looking to pave Lakeside Ave from Van Ave to the Jefferson Ave Bridge. And that project exceeds $1 million to the DOT. However, the DOT has announced this year that they have a surplus of funding and that they may fully fund a significant amount of projects this year, which is the reason why we've submitted for such a large amount and such a large project. So more to come on that. And of course, we're in coordination with the engineer as to the complete streets aspect of the project. So we're looking at that too. And then the last thing is I'm meeting with the Finance Committee tomorrow to discuss potential savings and changes to our health benefit plans, which could provide a significant savings to the taxpayer for next year. So we're very interested in that and more to come. And that's my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Are we still using an old engineer did for us a survey of the roads? Are we still using that for any judgment, or we're not really using it anymore?
We're updating our list.
We are personally, or we're hiring someone?
The engineer, in conjunction with the DPW, are updating the road candidates list.
Okay.
Based on the old list.
Based on the old?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
I have one. Go ahead, you can go.
No, go ahead, please.
Just a quick question. The delays on Phase 1 won't hold up moving forward with Phase 2, will it? We can still move forward with the playground equipment?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
The Lakeside Ave project, it's about a half mile from Van Ave to the bridge. What's the aspects of the project that brings it up to $1 million?
Unfortunately, most of the guardrail from the high school down to the bridge is in non-compliance with the DOT. So our engineer is recommending that we replace that. And in addition to the guardrail that we've been looking at for years to replace and to take down the old fencing, there's a significant cost to that as well. You have ADA curb ramps, you have complete street upgrades, you have striping, sidewalks. So we're looking at all of that right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor, I just want to piggyback that question. So I'm correct to say that they will pay for that guardrail removal, and will they remove the fencing, or are we still?
We're looking to incorporate that entire project into the DOT project. So no funds will be charged against the open space under any other account the governing body decides.
You couldn't make me any happier.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I have a question. I'm getting some calls from residents about the orange mats that they put in with the sidewalks when they do the revamping. Who's responsible to make sure that the corners are staying down after a couple of years? They're starting to peel up. And is that now become our responsibility, or this?
Yeah, I mean, it's our responsibility to.
Is that an
maintain
easy
those.
fix, or do they have to peel that whole thing and put a new one down?
I don't necessarily have the expertise, but I think it's a reconstruction of the curb ramp, correct?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
We'll take a look.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look, because some of the corners are starting to tip up, and I don't know,
You're talking about the tactile
the
mats.
tactile maps.
Yeah,
yes.
I think you could just drop it in place. I don't think it's like you don't have to.
No, you would have to do it, but you would have to pull it out, right?
Yes, probably.
Right, okay. All right.
We'll take an audit of everything.
Yeah, okay, maybe we should do that. Okay, workshop, redevelopment. Who's talking? You?
I'll start. Thank you, Mayor. So at the last council meeting, there was discussions about the redevelopment agency and the redevelopment plan. Also, the redevelopment investigation study that was conducted in 2008 by the planning board. So I included it in your packets. It's quite lengthy. My suggestion would be if the governing body wished to amend anything or to take a closer look at it, to let us know. And at that point, we should probably engage the borough planner in a discussion with the governing body to go more carefully through whatever you're looking to do. So I just provided it tonight. I don't know if, there will be any discussion about it, but, we could bring it up at the next council meeting and certainly invite our planner to discuss more, so.
Okay, any questions?
I defer to Dave, if you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tag on to that. So the study plan was adopted, and from what I can see, and I spoke to Andy Brewer, is it's on the basis of the study plan that specific redevelopment plans are put together by the redevelopment agency, working with a potential redeveloper to, for a specific portion of that, and if anybody knows otherwise, let me know, for a specific portion of those study areas. And once the developer and the redevelopment agency are of one mind on it, a plan is put together for that redevelopment that is ultimately adopted by the council. And that's why, when we were talking last week about, well, can we change the plan? Some towns, when they adopt a plan based entirely on the study area without working with developers, it's easy to amend the plan. But where you have a negotiated plan and then a redevelopment agreement agreed upon right on the heels of the adoption of the plan, it becomes much more difficult to adopt, to rather amend the plan. That becomes a negotiated amendment of the plan because you already have a redevelopment agreement typically in place at that point. So just, that's kind of the model that I've observed here. If I'm wrong about that, let me know, but that's kind of how I.
Yeah, because there's a negotiation between the developer and the redevelopment agency about
Exactly.
where they want to come from, and then from there, they work out through meetings with the redevelopment agency what they bring to us.
Right, right.
Any questions?
So I have, like I said, I had a lot of thoughts from the last meeting, and I guess this falls under the future of redevelopment, the redevelopment plan, whether or not it needs to be amended, but it seems like there are a lot of different things we're encountering with each project that are going to either require amendments to the redevelopment plan or easements or restructuring of certain things. We now know that we have an issue with capacity at the MUA, which, again, so my overall thought is I don't understand still to this day how we didn't foresee that there was going to be an issue with capacity with the MUA. At the meeting, you had made a remark that the MUA said for years, that's no problem, it's no problem, we have room, we have room. The plan was adopted in 2008. In 2010, we had to submit MUA capacity information for a Highlands report. So we knew from 2010 that that number was already at or near what it is now and hasn't changed. So how we got to this point knowing that we were at or near capacity and continued to move forward without there being a plan in place is one thing I have a concern with. What seems to be amendments to some of these that come to the council in piecemeal, I don't understand. It's been asked a few times by one member of redevelopment in particular, what is the end game here? What is the overall, what are we looking at? What are we doing? I feel like we're tackling this project by project, and so if we're looking at the redevelopment plan, what point can the council look at this and say, I want to know what the end game looks like, and is it laid out the way that we think it should be, and what changes can we make? I mean, that project that was just proposed, right? So, and having a redevelopment agency, personally, I think it's problematic. We had a previous attorney that was on record saying it's very unusual for a town of this size to have one. There are a lot of conversations happening over here that happen over here. By the time they get here, the information is kind of jumbled. It's not coming through accurately. We had an issue with this most recent project about removing 8 retail stores and only putting 2 back. So the new proposal brings back 4 stores, but it looks like one of the 2 stores had a little bit of an increase on the space, and then it was chopped up into 3 pieces. So we're not really providing for the moving forward of a walkable town with all this retail that I thought was the concept of redevelopment. So if we're getting away from that and we're really just looking to put in as many residential units as we possibly can, regardless of what stores we have, what does this look like in the end, and how much at this point are we allowed to make adjustments to?
Well, again, you have a redevelopment study area. The redevelopment study was adopted in 2008. You have different redevelopment plans. For instance, you have the Meridia plan for the downtown area, and then there are, I would imagine that the Lidle development, that was a different plan.
That was subdivision.
Yeah, that was a subdivision plan, a redevelopment.
Redevelopment.
It was,
Yeah,
yes.
under redevelopment. So you have, it's kind of a misnomer to say we have a redevelopment plan. We have several ongoing redevelopment plans with different redevelopers, as I understand it. Some of which are completed, some of which are underway, some of which are being negotiated, all in accordance with the redevelopment investigation study that was adopted in 2008. So the foundational document is really your investigation study. As I said, once the plans are adopted, those are on the heels of the negotiation between the redevelopment agency and the redeveloper, and then they're approved by this council. Are there amendments made to those redevelopment plans? Yes, they are, but they're not unilateral. They're typically done by way of negotiation as the work proceeds, based upon the needs of the developer or the needs of the borough.
So when we say redevelopment plan, is there actually an overall plan that gels everything together, or is this developer wants this developer?
That's your study.
That's the
That
Well,
overall.
I'm going to jump in
But,
here,
yeah,
because
please do, please do.
you're partially right,
Yes,
and
thank you.
you're not completely, it's a little incomplete. So the document that we got is the area need of redevelopment investigation. That is, you have to meet certain criteria on each property, has to fall under certain criteria of the local housing and redevelopment law to be able to put it into the redevelopment area, okay? That's what that document is. It's basically saying all of these, for a variety of factors, meets those criteria to declare it in need of redevelopment. From there, you develop the redevelopment plan. We actually do have a redevelopment plan. It's actually codified within the municipal code, which is a little unusual, actually.
Right, correct.
It's not a standalone document, the way that we would typically see redevelopment plans. And where Dave is right is, you can have a broad area of redevelopment plan. You can have a document, you can have zoning code, and it generally sets the standards for uses, heights, bulk standards, basically, within that redevelopment plan. But you can always amend the redevelopment plan site by site, depending on what Dave said was the borough's needs or the developer's needs. So again, let's use the Smith property, for example, block 6300, lot 1. His property falls under the general requirements of the redevelopment plan. But if you drill down to the site, it might not meet all those requirements. It might not really be specific. So at that point, he could file for an amendment. He could look for an amendment to the redevelopment plan. So each one of these different negotiations, Capadegli, Fortunato, Smith, all of these things are really an amendment to that overall redevelopment plan. They just have more specific standards related specifically to their site. Jen, I think what your point is does this overall redevelopment plan, is it really appropriate 14 years later?
I think that's the one thing you and I agreed on last time.
Yeah,
But
so I mean,
perhaps we're not there anymore.
there's right. So I mean, I guess there's nothing to say that the council can't, because again, this redevelopment plan is also, very rarely are you going to get like a build-out analysis as part of the redevelopment plan. We want to build X number of units, or we want to do X this, or Y of that. But you do want to say, these are our broad vision and goals, here's the standards related to them, here's all these other things that get in play. And there's not a whole lot of that in our actual broad area redevelopment plan. We know we knew then we wanted redevelopment, we wanted to set the stage to be able to offer pilots to encourage redevelopment, but what that actually looks like in terms of total density, number of units total, things like that, the plan is pretty silent.
Well, let's remember also that if people don't want to use redevelopment,
They don't have to.
they could right now build 4 stories above their retail right now and just go to the planning board, make sure they're meeting their variances, and we would have no say on that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. They just wouldn't
Anybody
get
can
the
build,
pilot.
we can't tell people on their property what to do,
Well,
unless they go above the height variance.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why we can control what they do, but the biggest thing is if they don't need the pilot, yes, you're right, they don't have to go to
They don't have to
redevelopment, they don't have to do all these things. But again, I think what we've established with the redevelopment is that the fact is that these projects don't get done if not for this alternative financing available.
Well, I think that the offset to that is they don't get as high, but I think people are still going to build on their properties.
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. They're not in front of the redevelopment agency saying, I could do this.
Well, they're going for the most and then seeing what they can get.
Well, well, then that defeats the whole purpose of seeking the pilot, really. Because what you're saying is, I don't have the right financing to do this under traditional means. Under traditional zoning, I don't have the ability to do
Is that what
this.
redevelopment is though, the pilot?
Well, the pilot is it's the gap, right? The main test of redevelopment is if it wasn't for the ability to get this pilot, which changes the financial structure of how I develop a project, I would not be able to do this project.
Correct.
Okay, so if a developer walks in and says, well, I'm seeking a pilot, and if I don't get what I want and have all these standard change, I'm gonna still do all the project, except for the fact is I'm just gonna follow the underlying zone.
Well, use Vasky, for example.
Right.
He wants that monstrosity, they
Yeah.
said no. He could still come back tomorrow and build 4 stories above
He
his
still
property.
could, yes, absolutely.
And not-
But that's not the project he's seeking.
No, not now.
So
I'm
that's,
saying
but
a
that's the
future
point,
thing.
right.
But he also still can't just do whatever
But he also
wants.
can't, well, he can within the
our
context
code.
of the zoning. yes.
Within our- whatever our code
Planning board,
is.
wouldn't he have to go to the planning
Yes.
board,
He
then,
would,
and they
yes.
would decide what he can and
Right,
can't?
if there
Well-
was no variances needed, then he would be.
Yes and no, right. So if you meet all the requirements of the zoning, that's basically as of right permissions to build what we've permitted by zone. So it's not like it's a yes or no vote, as long as he doesn't have to seek something.
Okay, so like in redevelopment, they say, okay, well, we don't really like the face of that, like, can you use different material? Would they do?
No.
do
They cannot do that
They
in
can't
planning
do
board,
that.
unless there's specific requirements within our zoning code, which tend to be struck down because they are, like, you just don't want to get into like that kind of thing, within the code itself. So you can't control those kind of things unless it's a specific requirement within the zoning code itself.
And let's talk.
But there is code that dictates height.
Yes, height,
setback.
yes, but materials, style, things like that. If Vaskin went, like, to the mayor's point, if Vaskin came in and said, I want to build these 2 other buildings in the back, it's a little questionable we actually could do that or not, but that's beside the point. But let's say just he wants to tear down his existing building and build like a new building, and he wants to paint it pink, made of stucco with, Spanish colonial roofing or something like that.
There are
Something-
towns that write
so-
code that prohibit certain things like that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. The zone, but our zoning code currently is silent on that stuff, so we don't have control over that. If Vaskin comes in and says, I'm seeking a pilot and I want to build a 4-story pink building with stucco and Spanish colonial roofing, the redevelopment agency exists and can say, well, that's great, but we're not going to give you a pilot unless the building looks a lot like what we're comfortable with. And that's sort of how Lakeside Commons came to look like it did, more like the high school and the post office and things like that.
So that's, I guess, so 2 things, let's stop there. So one, you're saying, does it fit what we're looking for? So who dictates that? Because now, like you said, where we started this 14 years ago, number 1, we've evolved, right? And number 2, there's some aspects of that that are fundamentally different now in a post-pandemic world, right? Talk about shared parking. Well, there's plenty of people that no longer have spots that are going to accommodate for shared parking. We keep saying that's going to be the solution to everything. It was touted as the solution to everything in the last redevelopment meeting, and you have people that have businesses across the street from Lakeside Commons that will tell you those cars aren't moving. People are not going to their office every day. Some people are going in later, some people are coming home earlier. That mindset of, I'm leaving my house at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll be home at 6 o'clock at night, does not exist anymore. And I personally, and I could be wrong and no one knows, I don't think we're ever returning to that. So does that still make sense? There's been changes in where people have moved to in the last 14 years. Are we bringing in more children? I think that a concept like that is something that should be amendable and it should evolve with the way people are living today. It's been almost 15 years.
So let me answer that. So the parking, the only way they can park is if they bought spots part of the redevelopment agreement. If they're parking in other spots, legal spots that anybody can park in and paying per quarter or an hour or whatever, they're allowed to do that. There's no stopping that for anybody. Anybody can come from anywhere and park anywhere they want. We don't have restrictions for parking. When it comes to the MUA is a completely separate unit from us. We do not dictate to them what they do and how they do things. So if they came up to us and said, we have plenty of room to do this, we have to go by them. We don't do a study to do that. They do the study. They did the study and told us that. And they did another study and said, and it's not at that critical mass right now. We still have room for 150 units that fits well within the realm of everything they're doing to build. This is from the MUA's report, not from our report. The MUA, though, has no say. They have to go talk to the MUA. As a developer, they have to sit down with the MUA and discuss what they want. That has nothing to do with this board, though, at all.
Okay, I'm not sure what you've reiterated my vote in the MUA. They did turn over a study, and capacity was then almost what it's now. So to say that we were surprised by finding out what the number was, you just said we shouldn't have been. And in the last redevelopment meeting, you specifically said the solution to overcrowding for parking is going to be shared parking. That may not be the solution. Those spots might not be available, so at some point, we're going to run out of parking spots. But we don't need to go that deep into that. I guess my question is, at what point do we have an understanding as to what this actually is going to look like when it's done, and what can we do to change that? Because the fact that we're just getting so far away from bringing in retail, you are taking away. We want busy retail. That was the whole reason for this, and now essentially taking out two of probably what are the top 5 busiest stores in this town, and collapsing the square footage on what was 2 is now 4, but really it's still 2 because it was just 1 chopped into 3. Neither one of those stores are going to be able to fit into the square footage that's being proposed. So what's coming back?
So it goes by square footage. It doesn't go by number of stores. And according to their report that they gave us, and I can't remember the exact numbers, they had 7,000 starting, and they're going to have 5,800 when they're done. So they're losing 1,200 square foot of retail. It's not about 5 stores or 2 stores or 3 stores. They could break that up into anything they want. There's no restriction. He says, I'm just making 1 big retail room here. We can't restrict through redevelopment. You have to have 5 stores there.
Well, we can, basically.
No, we
What
can't.
we're saying is we're not going to approve the project. That's why they came back. They came back with 2 stores, and we said no, so they had to come back again. So
Oh,
yes,
yes.
100% we can. And it does go by square footage, but it also goes by stores. There's a difference between having 4 businesses, and there's a difference between having 2 businesses.
But that's a landlord's decision. That's not a town
But it's
decision.
not. You're saying it's not.
It's realistically that the first time they came in, the reason why, actually something I pointed out, was that there's a requirement for retail frontage along these buildings. So you can't have, originally, like, it was basically the garage, part of a corner of the retail and part of a corner of another retail, and then you had a wall face along Colfax Avenue. But there is something specifically within the redevelopment plan that requires a percentage of the building frontage to be retail. So that's why you had to go back. I don't think it necessarily addresses number of stores versus square footage or anything like that. But I think in this case, if you have a big business that occupies 1,500 square feet versus 7,000 square feet versus 2 businesses that occupy, I don't want to get caught up in the number of retail spaces that are available, because along the same lines, we know that retail today isn't the same way that retail was even in 2010 when this plan. There's a lot less brick and mortar, people are doing more stuff online. The demand for retail isn't as great as it used to be.
Probably
So
personal services
it's
and
personal
restaurants.
services, it's pizzerias, it's restaurants,
But,
things like that.
at some
but-
point, logic has to dictate what we're doing here, right? You have 7,000 square foot of retail that you're required to put back in. Are you going to put 1 store in? What, are we
I mean,
are we
it's
bringing
what
in
the
a
market would
furniture
dictate.
showroom?
It should be what the market dictates at this point. If there's a market demand for, 1 store at 5,800, great. If there's a market demand for 3,000 and 2,800 on, between 2 stores, fine. Whatever it takes whatever that landlord or property owner thinks he can fill that space in. I don't think we want to get into the nitty gritty of saying you have to have X number of stores because we decide it looks better. If it's to that point, it's his property. If he wants to be a failure on ability to fill commercial space, have at it. If he wants to be a success and he thinks he knows the market, have at it too.
That does impact us to some degree, though, and that is the purpose of this. So if we just allow whatever it is, and then it turns out that everybody's a failure, now we go to just even more empty, vacant storefronts.
But we can't force them to do something. They're stores. He could keep them empty for the rest of his life.
I don't know if we want to get
Which is-
micromanaging that kind of
No,
stuff.
but that's a complete contradiction to what you said at the meeting. You were very adamant about not wanting to lose any retail.
No, I don't.
Now,
I still
All of a sudden,
don't.
it's retail doesn't
But what
matter.
I'm saying, let's use that project that you talked about now, the Smith project. If he decides he doesn't want to go for a pilot, he could build 2 stories right on what he's got, make sure he doesn't need any variances, and build it yellow or green or whatever he wants to do. And we would have no say as a council on that.
So let's talk about that, right? The workaround to doing what you want and not going for a pilot. There are some of these buildings that are in a redevelopment zone that are going to be seeking pilots to change or upgrade their buildings that probably should have been fined. And there's one, I think, that has rebar holding the side of the walls together. So why are we not enforcing code before the buildings get to this point and generating revenue through that? I mean,
think
some of
that's a
these.
different question.
Yeah, there's no code. I mean, we don't, and then tell me if I'm wrong, like, we don't go inspect every building, we don't inspect.
But should we not be enforcing buildings that fall out of code? Or are they not annually
Well, we don't know if
inspected?
they're
Or
in code.
are they, I mean, there's got to be some accountability there. You don't just put a building up and then all of a sudden it just falls down and no one knows it's going to happen. Or, I mean, I don't,
You
there are
don't do
plenty
that.
of towns,
A building inspector?
there
You
are
wouldn't
plenty
do
of towns
annual
that build
inspections.
buildings that don't offer pilots and somehow people still seem to maintain and build their buildings.
I don't necessarily know that we do annual.
No, you don't.
type of-
Most
You would
towns,
not. Right.
Most towns.
I mean, it's more so property maintenance.
Right, if there's an issue or something
there's-
coming down.
yeah,
Code
right.
enforcement.
Code
Code
enforcement.
enforcement is called to go there for a reason, then they'll check it. But we don't check into every store that's built properly and plumbing and heating and all that. We don't do that.
All right,
I
so
think-
then help me
So
get
I
to the
think
direction that we're going.
large picture is, if it's of the interest of the council, to say, we have this 2010 redevelopment plan, we don't necessarily know it really applies, the standards, the use requirements, all that stuff, we don't necessarily know that applies to the way people live 14 years later, okay? So our action would be to direct the planning board to conduct another redevelopment plan. We don't have to tell them to redo the redevelopment study. They're already in, those properties are already in there. We could say, we think it's time to either amend the redevelopment, take a look at this redevelopment plan and amend it. Granted, I think probably better off just starting fresh because there's a lot of things, again, like there's not a whole lot of guidance of like what it wants to achieve. So we could tell the planning board, go do a redevelopment plan. At that point, they basically utilize our professionals, planners to redo the plan at that point.
That was where I
I
wanted
think
this to
that's,
end.
I think ultimately, like, if we are interested in seeing a new redevelopment plan that reflects Pompton Lakes, what we know about capacity, what we know about other things, where the building trends are going, that's where we would start.
I don't think that's an unreasonable ask at this point. I would like to see that happen.
I think what we would want to do.
Well, according
at
to
this point-
Michael, the planner would have to come and explain the process, right?
Okay, that's great. That's even better because I think we could all use that experience and knowledge also.
Right, and Dave, I believe that you would need a resolution directing the planning.
We would,
board to
yes.
undertake
Yeah,
the
we would,
the
but-
study,
And it's a
correct?
cost involved, large cost.
Sure.
Well, it all depends.
Yes,
Are we doing
and,
Dependent
It depends on
on
the
the
scope of
scale
work.
of it, yeah.
yes.
But you would start, you wouldn't need a resolution to have a planner, though.
No.
Right, okay.
Right, so I think here, the first aspect of this is to reach out to our planner, perhaps get a cost estimate, have them come in, maybe explain the process in whole again, and at that point, we could consider a resolution to direct the planning board to take such action.
I mean, I read through those documents. I would certainly benefit from having someone with the area of expertise specifically in reading that, explain some of it to me. You know, it's not, there's no, other than Eric, none of us are architects or planners or engineers. I can read it, I understand some of it, but I certainly would benefit from hearing it from the expert.
We can look at doing that.
Any other concerns, questions?
To the point about cars and wanting to drive and parking, Gen Z there's reports out there that the current young generation are not interested in cars. They're interested in the environment. They're going to do ride shares. They're going to share cars. They're going to take Ubers. They're going to take mass transit. So to your point about that, yeah, in our lens, yeah, everybody wants a car. Younger generation, 5, 10, 15 years from now, maybe not.
And shared
You're
parking, I can
100%
tell you,
right.
is a used formula in every building.
And that's a standard
That's a
way of
standard way to
calculating
do
parking,
it,
I get
yes.
that.
That's not an
But
unusual
You're
the-
100%
The
right.
discussion of running out of parking is a valid concern, but keep in mind that trends change.
And I agree with you. But in order for that to be applicable to this, we need to know if that's who's living there. If it's our age and older that are living there, we all have 2, 3 cars, right? I mean, there's very few married couples that have 1 car in a driveway. Younger generations, yes. Older generations, no. So 100%, if it's all that age group moving into those buildings, we probably need less parking than we have now. But
Where are you saying these cars are being parked? They can't park overnight on the street, so where are they being parked?
Well, you were trying to use the concept of shared parking as
Right.
all of these retail stores that are now maybe an issue, not an issue, I don't know. People are coming in to shop and park and spend the day here because all the parking spots are going to be open in the pond hole or
Which they
here or
are,
there
yeah.
because people are at work all day. That's what shared parking is, right? I'm at work, so now you're parking in my parking spot. That's why you keep saying it. And I'm telling you that not everyone gets in their car and goes to work all day, every day anymore.
Mike, we had a parking consultant look at that, bring that up. Could you pull those reports and send it to everybody?
Well, they would have to be new reports. We
Well, I
can't
think
use
they
the
were in the
old
last couple of
data.
years.
I can take a look
Yeah.
at that. Yeah.
Just to answer those concerns.
I mean, there's clearly a parking issue. We know that we don't have a lot of parking spots left.
Where
I don't think we have a parking issue.
Yeah, we don't have a parking issue. I don't know
I
what
don't
you're
think we have
talking
a
about.
parking issue, if anything, I
The
think
whole
when it comes to
discussion
some
at the
people.
redevelopment meeting from you was sitting there saying, we can't give up any more parking spots in the pond hole. We already don't have enough.
Well, no, that's if they don't want to build a garage. In other words, if we don't give them an easement, they're going to buy 50 spots from us. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that's an alternative to what they want. Right now, they're not buying any spots from us.
You sat there and said, we don't even want to give up 2 spots. We don't have a lot of spots
No,
left.
no.
I mean, I'm not.
We have plenty of spots in the pond hole. If they wanted to get rid of their garage parking completely and not have an easement, then they would have to buy all their spots. I don't support that because that's a lot of spots at one time. Okay, but we have plenty of spots right now. There's the pond holes empty.
And Mayor, you mentioned a couple compromises too. It's not all or
Right,
nothing. It's not 50
compromise,
spots
they
in
can
the
build one
pond
level,
hole.
we give them 20, whatever it's going to be.
How many of those spots belong to the Board of Ed?
It's not only that, is that we have athletic activities, we have a million things those spots are used for.
But none of those spots belong to the Board of Ed.
No, they request those every year,
They buy
but they buy them.
Right.
But that's the point. I mean,
We have a record of how many you've bought. It's been about 15 per year.
Right. You know, so I don't know. Look, guys, I'm gonna say it because, you know, it's my first term here. It's gonna reach a point when enough building is enough. It has to reach a point. If it's, you know, the profiteering side of things, the financial side of things, I don't know when enough is enough. That guy wanted to put there from the ice cream station over to Simone's. That is horrible.
But you understand you can do
I
that.
know he could do that. I know he could do that, but I don't know, you tell me, the likelihood of him being refused a pilot that he decides to take it up on his own, I'm assuming he doesn't have the funding to begin with, which is why he's entertaining a pilot.
No, but it would be a much smaller unit. So
It's a smaller unit, it would still fall before him, and I'd be interested to know how many actually move forward when financially it's a better position for him going under pilot. Because I can tell you right now, it's getting ridiculous. That Meridia thing is an ISO. You can see that thing all the way down, probably coming up over the bridge already.
Thank you.
But when you're seeing it now, you're seeing wood, you're not seeing.
I'm
it finished.
seeing from the beginning to the end that you could look upon the back of the high school parking lot into the school. When is enough is enough?
Thank you, Bobby.
When is enough is enough?
Bobby,
Look,
do you know
there's
Iron
nothing, I'm not
Forge?
agreeing with anybody. I'm not taking sides with anybody, so don't give me nothing.
No, it's just nice
I'm
to
just
hear
telling
opinions.
everybody here, when is enough is enough.
Does anybody recognize
it,
Iron
okay.
Forge being super tall? That was the first building that came up. It was
Look.
way before my time.
I don't
Does
even
anybody
know.
notice
But you got
Lakeside
Madison
Commons?
Square Garden on Wanacue Avenue at this point.
We had
The
a
thing is huge.
one story Salvation
No,
Army
no,
building.
no.
So Iron
And now-
Forge is the same height as.
I get it, but look where that one is.
It's set
The
back
one
so
is
far
right in
off
the
the
middle,
street.
it's set back all the way. Now we're looking to take that corner turn from Simone Styles over to the ice cream station. Come on. And then it's up to the owner whether or not to do anything with it.
I can tell you, because I can tell you, for
Great.
example, Vaskin, he's probably gonna go with building his own units right there. Doesn't
You know,
need any Vaskin.
But you know what? Let him do his thing. The easement cannot pass through this council then. Let him do his own thing.
No, I'm saying
then.
the 14th story, he might just come back and say, I'm gonna build myself, I'm not using a
Well,
pilot.
it's kind of
And
aggravating.
build whatever he wants.
No, that's fine. Then, you know, if it gets to that point, gets to that point.
Well, that's-
But at this point, going through a pilot program, just to be able to build, I mean, it's just, when is enough is enough.
So in other words, say Bassing goes that route, we lose out as the town on money on that tax dollar.
Well, that's what I mean. We're talking about money here.
But
We're
I
talking
think-
about.
I
No,
think
no,
that we lose out, like, the building, I don't know what project that was, the one that we just approved tonight, because it wasn't approved when it should have been.
Yeah.
The county.
No,
No,
the,
by the fire, by the
by the
firehouse.
firehouse.
Oh, yeah.
The Fortunato.
They built 4 units on the top of that building. That was an existing building.
Right.
And that was a 30-year pilot?
Yeah.
That's a lot for 4 units. I mean,
Yeah, but it's
that's a,
collecting more money over time.
I don't,
You need
I
to show me
don't
the break-even
know.
point on that.
Yeah, I don't know if
Mike,
we're.
could you pull those numbers, please, on the?
No, I actually want to have the Phoenix advisor show us the break-even point, because there are developers that will tell you they can recoup and find a break-even point in a much shorter time frame. Not every pilot has to be a 30-year pilot.
I
Not
think
every
the whole
building
thing
needs a
needs to be
pilot.
looked at in a different way. So not every project needs a 30-year pilot.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
that
We
could
just
be- I
need
understand
to,
that.
you know what I mean? Because that probably could have used like a 10-year and it would have been fine. You know, I think
Or
that is something.
it could have said 10 and he says, I'm not building anything there.
And then,
Well, but it was
But
already there. I mean,
Well, I
It was
think
a
we're
junky
getting into a
building.
lot of theoretical discussions.
Right, we're
about
doing a
us,
lot.
but-
yeah.
Well, that's why I want the Phoenix advisors to.
All right, so is there any more concerns, questions?
I'm good here,
I'm
Mayor.
Okay, okay. Motion to open the meeting for public comments.
Motion.
Councilman Cruz, Council President Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up.
Randy Hitt, 443 Montclair Ave. To your discussion about redevelopment. So many people in town do not go to the redevelopment meetings. A lot of people don't even watch this council meeting. A lot of people don't even know who the mayor is or the council. But they do know when they see a whale in the middle of the town. And there's so many people disappointed with the size of that building, just like you said, Councilman Cruz. So many people that I know, relatives of mine, that live out of town, that say, what is Pumpkin Lakes doing? When is enough enough? This is a bedroom community. Used to be. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe things are changing. But it's getting carried away. This is just too much development in our little town. That's what I have to say on that. The other question I had is, all this development going on, anything going on with a new DPW garage? You know, we're in adequate need of that. And a couple of years ago, OEM had a request for a building by the First Aid Squad to house a lot of their equipment. Any movement on that? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please step up.
Al Evangelista, Raymond Court, Palm Lakes. Great discussion. I really like this format because I like to hear everybody's opinion. And I agree with Councilman Cruz. Everything, I've been in this town a long time, as you know, and I saw that street. As a matter of fact, I worked traffic on that street at 2 very important intersections when that street was in its heyday. And I can tell you that back on those Thursday and Friday nights, those 2 parking lots, West Side and Pond Hill, were full. Okay, people came, people went, stores were very, viable. Of course, today it's a whole different issue. Here's my concern about developers, and I see this in a lot of towns, and I talk to a lot of people, my counterparts in other towns that are going through the same thing. Developers come in, they have no investment in the community other than their investment in the community. When they're done, they get out, they sell the building, which has already happened, I believe, at Lakeside. I think they sold that building a couple of years after they got out, because now when all the problems start happening, guess whose issue it's going to be? When the parking issues are going to start happening, guess whose job it's going to be to straighten it out? When all the traffic pattern flows, which I don't even know how the county hasn't come in and done a traffic pattern. We got a no right turn here, no left turn there, straight over there, go here. This town, this man wants to exit on Colfax Avenue, where Nikki's Pizzeria is. There was a woman killed there many, many years ago, an elderly woman, by a bus that was coming north on Montague Avenue, made the turn onto Colfax, because as some of you may remember, and most of you probably don't, is that all the buses used to stop and pick up and drop off in Station Plaza. That's what it was called, that, Station Plaza. The buses all came in and out of there until this woman was killed, and then the county said no more right turn of buses. New Jersey Transit just goes straight down Wanacue Ave now. So now they have the signs along the route where you stop and pick those people up. Here's my point. How are you going to have an exit driveway on that stretch of Colfax from Wanacue to the ice cream station? How? How's a car going to come out of there at 8 o'clock? I don't know how many of you are in town in the morning, but I am. I'm around town all day, and I see the traffic patterns in the morning, in the afternoon, and midday. And I got to tell you, I don't know what's going to happen between Winter School, the high school, the Lakeside School, the traffic that normally traverses on Wanacue Avenue up and down, both ways, because it's a county road, the truck traffic we don't need in town, because none of those tandem dump trucks are going to stop anywhere to get a bagel. There's just no place for the trucks to go. So my point is this, what's going to happen when all these people now in these developments get out to work at the same time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, in that pond hole, and the parents are all dropping the kids off by the steps, and now they're all trying to come out of the bottom of those two buildings. I'm not against development or redevelopment, but it's got to be smart. It's got to be controlled. It's got to be, you can't, let me give you an example. I have a very big backyard with a pool in it. I want to fill my pool in, and I want to rent spaces in my backyard, okay? To all of the neighbors that have kids with their cars that can't park on the street overnight in the winter. Can I do that? No. I'd have to get a variance. I'm in an R1 zone, probably wouldn't happen. There's certain things that just can't happen. If you just keep changing and changing and changing and changing to accommodate everybody, we're gonna have a major mess on our hands. We gotta look at our emergency services and how it's gonna overtax those services. We're going to Starbucks every other day for vaping in the bathroom. I can't even imagine what's going to happen when these places are built and occupied. And I see what Riverdale goes through with the grant. They're up there all the time for smell of gas and this and that and the other thing. So the only thing I'm trying to say is I'm trying to encourage everybody, which was your lead. When is enough is enough? What is smart? What is not smart? I'll pay a little more taxes than I think I do to live in this town rather than some other towns. People get that. People aren't screaming. They'll always scream about taxes, but my point is, the biggest tax dollar goes to the school. So unless they control the schools, they're not going to control that portion. But the more people we have in the schools, the higher that portion is going to go up. So we're saving on the municipal side, we're not saving on that other side, and we have no control over that side. So there's got to be a balance here. We got to look at the big picture. I agree. We got to look at the big picture, even traffic-wise. What is the traffic plan going to be? Where's it going to be a left turn? Somebody told me the other night, we did a walkthrough the big building. When you come out of there now, it's in and out on Wanacue Ave, and there's a right turn only. That's good until the first sign gets knocked down, the first snowstorm. And then everybody's going to come out, and they're going to make the turn left, they're going to go right, or whatever direction they want. So these are the types of things that have to be looked at and addressed and contained. And these easements here and an easement there, if you can't do it, you just can't do it. That's my opinion. Can't do it. Just like probably my backyard parking spaces. Probably won't happen, but I can make money. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Council President Devine, who was second? Was that you? Councilwoman Polidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? For Mr. Hinton and for Mr. Evangelista, look, every town around us is doing this. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. We built one unit that has 62 units in it, and to date, I could ask police to pull the records. We don't have any issues once it was sold. The first group that had it actually caused us issues because they couldn't evict people during COVID, and that was where the issue was. Since that's been pulled, we've had no issues there. We don't get called there a lot. There's no parking disputes there. You know, there's no issue with parking at that building. Right
Police
now.
were there today.
Local, okay, but I'm saying, they're not there every day. Okay, but they're not there.
The one is coming back
Okay.
tomorrow night to move her car.
Okay.
So that car's in front of the post office today, all day.
That's the
and
post
tomorrow
office.
all day.
Okay, well, it has to be addressed with the post office. That's not from, we're talking about Shortens Park. I'm just saying that building's been built, it was built to look like the high school. We're making a good penny on that pilot program. Remember, this,
The high school's a dog park.
Okay.
That's what we turned it into.
The first, remember, the project that's being built right now was the first project brought into town, the very first project, even though it took longer to build. So there were some things to try to bring in redevelopment to make that work. Okay, if it was to come in now, maybe it doesn't, who knows? Okay, but that was the first pilot that came in. Okay, if we don't, you could say the taxes will go up slowly. That we are in a tax fight in the next couple of years that's going to really hurt this town. I can just tell you that. And it's going to increase tremendously if things aren't done. We don't have a development, we don't have a industrial park to bring in cash reasons. We're losing some other revenue that we're bringing in right now. It's going to be an issue. This is one offset to bring in some money. I will still say that. Done responsibly, done the right way. I agree with what some of the council set up here. I have no issue with that. Okay? But right now, the only project that we built is 61 units and some small 4 or 5 unit ones. 61 units is what we've built so far in town that people are living in. You mentioned the garage. Yes, we're still in discussion. We just had a meeting recently about it, so there's still discussion on that. Unfortunately, we had to put it off because the budget was so tight this year. The shed that you're talking about out on the property, it will be revisited again next year, and we'll see what we can do about it. Okay, motion to adjourn. Oh, no, I'm sorry, privilege of the floor. Real quick,
The only thing I
Mayor.
want to say is, based on the rainstorm, it looks like the big guy upstairs got Shade Tree's message as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good. Just true. You don't have to worry.
Mayor, real quick, so as far as redevelopment, our buildings are crumbling, and I don't know if you've been in some of the stores downtown, they smell like mold. Part of the theater, the back of the theater, right, Mayor? These buildings aren't new. So I spoke with someone who's in that world, and redevelopment is a tool for leveraging private investment development for the good of the public. It creates a mechanism by which private developers have incentives to invest in public improvement. So, to your point about the shed for the ambulance, we're getting a civic center that we negotiated. There are opportunities to make improvements to our public space by smart redevelopment, not just willy-nilly. But the only constant here is change, folks. We don't build, we're left with crumbling buildings that no one's going to develop.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Anyone else? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Councilman,
Second.
President Blind, Councilman Venon, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you, everyone.